r/AskReddit by Redmond Dtes. What's a story from your life that sounds fake, but is 100% true? I once got fired and hired on the same day by the same person. My boss called me at 9 AM to let me go due to budget cuts. By 2 PM he called back, saying the guy they hired to replace me had already quit, and asked if I wanted my job back with a raise. I said yes. We never spoke about it again, ever. I heard a car in my driveway and walked out to see no fewer than 20 federal agents pointing guns at me. I instinctively raised my hands and stood still. No one said anything. I finally asked what's up. They were at the wrong address, looking for a fugitive. The FBI showed up at our house during dinner in the 80s to interview my dad. He couldn't tell us why until the 90s. Turns out he was the surgeon who operated on serial killer Bob Berdella. One of his victims bit off his penis. Bob showed up to the hospital and was being prepped for surgery. Except he told my dad that he needed to leave and come back later because his cat was at home having kittens. In reality, he was afraid his victim would escape, so he went home and murdered him, then returned an hour later for the emergency operation. The FBI needed to interview my dad to piece together a timeline of when that particular victim was murdered and dismembered. After that night, when the FBI showed up, my dad took down every picture of us, his family, at his clinic office, and stopped wearing his wedding ring to work. He never wanted to risk a crazy patient realizing he had a family in case they were psycho. It really hurt my feelings as a kid, but once he explained why, after Bob was dead, we totally understood. My little brother was crazy for explosions. At around 15 years old, they were updating the phone wires on our street, and he swiped a bunch of multi-channel cable and connectors that were laying around. He made a flash pod system, late 70s Detroit, and was renting himself out to bands. He'd go to the theatrical supply house and buy flash powder. His equipment testing blew multiple craters in our backyard, with multiple neighbors out front pissed as hell. He once put a film vial of flash powder in a can of Bondo, stirred in the catalyst, and let it harden for a week. That one left a foot-deep crater in the yard. He stole a tank of oxygen and one of acetylene from the high school loading dock. They'd deliver at night. He and his buddies went at like 3 AM. He filled a garbage bag, tied it closed with fuse, and the sound of the blast stopped the high school football game, 2 miles away. He still has a news clipping about that one. Eventually he was doing a rock show, high school band in a high school gym. The last song, he lit off a big one. It blew up his flash pod system and took out half of the huge windows. He retired from showbiz after that, though he did end up being the tech director when Cirque opened the O show at the Bellagio. He's a great guy and still has all his fingers at 63. A lady showed up at our house and said she was my husband's sister that had been given up for adoption 45 years prior. Cue an awkward call to mother-in-law. Well, was she? Yes. I woke up one morning and took a sip of water from the cup on my nightstand. Felt a tickle in the back of my throat and coughed up a living spider that I swallowed. It walked away like nothing happened, and I've been drinking out of covered glasses at night since. I had a water bottle in my car that I left the little fold-up straw open on. Took a sip and spit out a silverfish into my cup holder. I was jogging down a hill in Manhattan and was picking up speed as I declined, and Emerald Lagasse came flying out of the grocery store and I crashed right into him. My biggest regret is that I didn't yell bam. My first reaction to this was, there are hills in Manhattan? My second reaction to this was, there are grocery stores in Manhattan? Also, I don't know who that is. Haha, yes, there are hills, like sidewalks that go up and down. Yes, there are grocery stores. And Emerald is a celebrity chef whose catchphrase, or whatever, is bam when he throws spices in at the end of a dish or whatever. My birth giver tried to kill me as a baby. Postpartum depression and active addiction isn't a good mix. I was around 6-7 weeks old when she placed me inside a black bag and put me outside with the bin. By some miracle chance my father had finished work and had arrived home around the same time and heard me crying. Had he not come home straight away from work, took the longer route home, or even went to the pub or something, then I'd assume I wouldn't be here now. Naturally he took me away and made her seek help. Postpartum depression is nothing to mess around about, and with an addiction, I can't imagine the hell she was going through, as well as those she managed to keep around her. I'm so relieved you survived. I broke up with a girl who won the lottery 2 weeks later, something like 2 million. Then a few years later, I was engaged to a girl, we broke up, and a couple months later she won the lottery on a work syndicate, $500,000. Moral of the story, if you want to win the lotto, date me, dump me, and you'll be a millionaire in no time, lol. I died for 4.5 minutes and was on life support for 12 days. I caught a stray bullet in the shoulder at 16 while walking to school and showed up in class bleeding without telling anyone. Thought I'd get in trouble for some reason. Now the good stuff. I fostered and homed 35 dogs in 10 years. I quit a 5-year daily binge drinking habit in a day and remained sober 4 years later. I find money like it's being plucked out of the air. I've won thousands of dollars on scratch tickets. I've had perfect strangers, once a recent lottery winner, hand me cash. I pulled enough antiques out of the garbage of value that I now have a moderately successful restoration and appraisal business. Tools mostly, planes, levels, brace drills, etc. I was homeless as a teenager because of my mental health, but never had to panhandle because I'd just find money on the ground and whatnot. I worked a cash register in a dollar store and had someone tip me 5 silver eagle coins once. Generally it's always just enough for my needs. Never a fortune, nothing extravagant. But when I've ever been really desperate, and often not, it just shows up. My partner has literally seen me just come up with $1,000 legally when we first moved in together and really needed it. In addition, I'm a person of color, so a little more unusual than normal. My 9-pound cat jumped on the back of my neighbor's 85-pound husky shepherd dog and rode him down the street. She wrapped her front feet around the dog's waist, just in front of the hindquarters, bit him on the back, and used her back feet to shred the dog's hair out of his ass and tail. The dog was screaming and running home. The neighbor was yelling, "Call off your cat." The other neighbor was shouting, "Somebody oughta shoot that damned worthless dog." And I was laughing so hard I couldn't shout at my cat to stop. It was quite a morning. Call off your cat, as though cats respond to commands. Cats understand over 200 words of the English language. They also don't give a single fudge about any of them. I woke up Christmas morning 2017 in a strange house after hooking up with a girl Christmas Eve. I was 30 miles away from my place, no taxis running, I had no one available to call to come pick me up, so spent the day with a girl I barely knew. I didn't remember her name either. Then around 2 p.m. her father and older brother and sister came round for Christmas dinner. Her father was huge. I spent all day awkwardly sat on the sofa, wishing I woke up from this nightmare. Or an aneurysm would have been okay too. How was dinner? How did you get home? Did you talk to her after? Details, man. Dinner was fine. It's not really my thing doing a whole big Christmas thing. I planned to have a bottle of Jameson and a pizza for my Christmas dinner. Taxis started running again in the evening. Can't remember an exact time, but I ordered a taxi and left a short time after dinner, though I tried everything to get gone long before. I messaged everyone that possibly could have been available. Turns out Christmas Day is like an important day for people. Afterwards, me and her messaged on and off for about a month, met up a few times for drinks, food. I felt I owed her that much. Then we sort of just parted ways, not bad terms or anything, just kinda ended, but she thought the entire situation was hilarious. Me at the time, not so much. But overall it was the oddest experience I've ever had. Wouldn't have been too bad if I knew her name the moment I woke up. It took about 3 hours to find that out, and it was only when her dad asked me, "So how do you know Shannon?" I felt relieved and terrified at the same time. I'm special needs because I was born dead. I have a twin, and my mom was getting a C-section. Her placenta fell on me, and I caved in. I suffocated and died, and the doctor got my sister out. She's older by 1 minute. Get me and brought me to life. Because of that, I have multiple disabilities. My mom abandoned me at 16 after moving without me while I was in the hospital after suffering an overdose. She got me on opioids, and I had a fentanyl overdose. I used crack and opioids since age 11. I was homeless from 16 to 18, couch hopping, and I wound sleep in underground missile bunker in State Forest, and sometimes with Johns. I was a prostitute since age 12, so I was numb to this. At 18, I got a place with my 42-year-old boyfriend. But then he died of cirrhosis and esophagus varices a year and a half ago. Before he died, he put me with my current 62-year-old boyfriend. I ended up pregnant and homeless after his death with my current boyfriend. It was freezing cold, and I was 5 months pregnant by the time I found out I was preggo and got her apartment through a program. I stopped using dope and crack when I found this out and got on methadone. A few months back I went into labor and delivered my full-term son. He died while I was in labor and came out deceased. I named him Charlie. I relapsed. That's a very small summary of my life. People don't believe half of it. And that's leaving out many other overdoses, a kidnapping, a second encounter, where I forgave my mother, and was once again literally abandoned by her alongside a friend of mine. She left us in the middle of nowhere in an evicted house, and moved to South Carolina. I was personally friends with some people who committed an absolutely horrific murder when we were teenagers. It went everywhere. It's on crime podcasts, TV shows, etc. I'm good now, don't think about it much. But when I was in school, to find that out, and to have everyone know you were friends with them, that sucked ass. Did they seem like the type to do that sort of thing? Or was it a complete surprise to you? Complete shock for me. We all did shit we shouldn't, smoked weed, drank, but that effing insane. The Taliban shot a 82mm mortar at me. It landed 20 feet away from me, but the fuse failed to detonate. Hearing it rip through the air, and then the metal clank as it hit the ground was crazy. I had an 82-year-old aunt who got drunk and fell out a second-story window, breaking her arm. The guy she landed on did not fare so well, she killed him. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.